We're going to be doing a checkup, 30,000 mile checkup on some brakes up front for now. 04 Silverado. It looks like the previous owner had the brakes done, which is great, but they cheaped out, went to Pep Boys, and reused the old rotors. You can see that they are pretty rusty and crusty, especially that inside wall. I mean, you're basically cutting down 50% of the braking power. So, make sure if your rotors are looking like this, you're replacing those and not just the pads, because that's just not safe. Checking out the brakes here, the outside pad wore okay. Not too bad on the rotor, but that inside, you can see where it's all scored up. It matches perfectly where all that rust is. I mean, like I said before, you're pretty much decreasing your stopping power by 50% up front. I mean, that's just dangerous. Look at how old and crusty that is. For a shop to leave that on there as long as they did, just take advantage of people. But luckily we got a new rotor to throw on there, full stopping power. Trying to take the caliper bracket off here. We got a 1/2 inch 18mm 1/2 inch breaker bar. You really don't need any fancy impacts. You just line up down here. I already cracked it, but just give it the old kick push 9000. Don't need any $500 impacts, just some good old yee strength. Here we have our fresh new rotor. Make sure you blast it with some brake cleaner. Clean it up real good, because there is a factory, not film, but an oil just to kind of keep it, prevent it from rusting. Just clean that up, and we'll throw it on there. In this case, we're going to reuse the caliper bracket that was still in the truck. Everything seems okay. A little crusty, but welcome to New England. Caliper bracket bolts. Sure to use some anti-seize. Here we're using a Permatex aluminum anti-seize lubricant. Of course, gotta label everything in every possible area. Yeah, don't forget your lubricants, because next time you go to do the brakes, they'll come out that much easier. We have our fresh rotor in, caliper bracket on, torque to spec, wink wink. Here we have the slides. Probably should have cleaned these up before they were mounted, but just gonna take a blue shop towel, best investment ever. Just gonna kind of clean up whatever muck is on there. Use some brake clean if you have to. Clean those up real nice. I mean, these are still shining, so I can reuse those. Top and bottom. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just gonna get all gummed up again in a few more trips out. So get that all good. Again, lubricants, doing great. Everybody seems to look past it. We're using Permatex again. Synthetic Ultra Brake Parts Lubricant. So this is good for all parts on your braking system. Kind of taped over it there, but here's the focus. You can kind of see it lubricates caliper pins and slides. Prevents discs from squeaking, brake squealing. So I'm going to use some of this. Just going to kind of be generous with it. Don't be shy. Top and bottom. So before we put the caliper back on, we want to use a clamp to suck those pistons back in. This one's great. It's actually just a Walmart clamp, Hyper Tough, but it's got the the option to slide this screw in and out, which is it's great, helps speed up the process a lot instead of just sitting there and twisting it for half an hour. Cheap clamp does the job, and now that we have the pistons back in, we can put the bracket back on, or the caliper itself back on the bracket. Caliper is back on the bracket. Just make sure when you go in and come back that these gaskets, it's kind of an accordion style, so they come in and come out. Make sure those are seated square. Sometimes you can put the caliper on and bend them and make a mess, but just make sure those are compressed evenly when you put the bolts back on. Also with the bolts, I like to do one, I don't know, maybe halfway, go to the top one, do that halfway, and just kind of bounce back and forth until it seats on there properly. If you tighten one bolt super tight, leave this one loose, it might kind of push it cockeyed, and it's not gonna be on there very square. So just take your time, bounce back and forth until those tighten up, snug up, and then should be good. We can put the wheel on.